All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying Out of the Box 2025 Milan. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all for coming along to our second panel discussion of the evening, or of the day, I should say, Scale with Conscience. We have Derry leading up the panel today, who's the marketing manager for Marzocco UK. But as you know, we started as a bar machine company, and it's obviously an integral part and will always be an integral part of our DNA and what we do as a company. So, we've got a nice little discussion today to talk about how you can take your hospitality business and scale it, but always keeping quality and conscience in mind. So I'll hand it over to Derry.
Thank you, Anson. Hi, as Anson said, I'm Derry. If you would all, take a minute to introduce yourselves. Start with you, Arthur.
Hi, my name's Arthur Potts-Dawson. I'm a chef. I have been cooking all over the planet. I am at the moment taking on a big role at Sky, where we're looking at getting to Sky's net zero by 2030. So the idea is that food and the Sustainable Development Goals are connected to create a much better place or better planet to be on. But it's a tough quest. So food, people, restaurants, and sustainability is generally my focus and has been for the past 20 years of a 40-year cooking career. So lots and lots of food.
Hi guys, my name is James Hennebry. I'm one of the co-founders, operators, sometimes baristas at Rosslyn Coffee with my co-founder here, Matty Russell. I've worked in hospitality since my father's pubs back in Ireland. I then got into live music for a bit. Got into specialty coffee with a company called Five Senses down in Melbourne. Learned how to make coffee on a street called Rosslyn Street, which is where our shops, Rosslyn, have been named after. We launched in 2018. Again, just myself and Matt, a lot of sort of elbow grease, a lot of hustle. Since then, our sites have become the busiest specialty coffee shops in London, some of the busiest specialty coffee shops in the world. We opened up site number 7 on Monday last, and then we've got site number 8, which is going to be our flagship. I believe, in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, I think that's it.
Hi, I'm Paul Kelly from Marzocco. Now have the marketing role at Marzocco, but sold my first Marzocco, I think, 2004. Opened a branch office in the UK 2012. So I've been around for quite a while. So lovely to be here.
So I'm going to start with a really simple question, but what does scaling with a conscience mean to you if you're in the lucky position where your business is about to go to the next step and say you're opening a second site or expanding the team? How do you maintain those values that you started out with? Arthur, would you like to go?
Scale is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to get. They've opened 1, they want to do 3. You open your flagship. Scale is something that has to come with a conscience. Certainly because the past generation and my parents' generation before that, which has been about 50 years, there doesn't seem to have been much conscience other than scale. Get bigger, grow, consume. And in that, we've seen a dramatic change in the way the climate is changing, the way that food systems are being impacted. And it is coffee, it is cocoa, it is bananas. I mean, everything that we now consume has been affected by how we've consumed it. So scale is a massive factor. If we're going to take the next couple of generations, we have to be much more conscious of the way we approach the land, the soil, we approach education, distribution, logistics. Everything that we now see as the opportunity to scale has to come with leadership and a conscience, because if it doesn't, then we won't be consuming in the same way over the next 25 to 30 years.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's about your implanting and giving your DNA and your passion to the new generation and the new people that are coming into your organisation, because As Arthur says, you want to scale, but you don't want to forget your roots. As Roots and Wings is the topic of Out of the Box today, it's super important to always be delivering that passion message back into the organisation. Onboarding is really important to be able to scale with a conscience, and that message, I know what you do with Rosslyn is important to really have that ability to train people, not just to deliver. Giving a coffee to someone is service. Smiling at them and talking to them is hospitality. So you kind of had to play with those two worlds, but that's really important that you do it with a message that, sustainability is very important. That, coffee, if we're talking about coffee, is a very, very growing market, but the ecosystem around it is very fragile. So it's very important we do it to scale in a respectful way. So I think that's a good way to hand over to you.
Yeah. I mean, for me, scaling with a conscience. You mentioned DNA there, Paul. It's got still a very small growing company in the start of our journey, and it's from day one it was a reflection of myself and Matt and the kind of people that we want to be, and it's the kind of business that we want to build, and it manifests itself in two real ways: is the environmental aspect of our business and what we do and what we strive for there. But then you've alluded to, Paul, there, hospitality, and at our core we're a hospitality business, and at the core of hospitality is people, and that's been a huge focus for myself and Matt, and that's been core to our success to date. We really focus. We can talk a bit more about it today, but there's a sort of circular success that we talk about in our business, and step one there is focusing on our people. It's been huge for us.
Thank you. And Arthur, I think when people talk about or think about sustainability in food, it can feel really overwhelming. And there's obviously, it's a huge rabbit hole that you can go down if you're trying to do the research, especially for a business. Where do you think is a good place to start if you're going to consider buying produce in a restaurant?
Well, just a quick little bit of history, in as much that I've been very lucky in my journey on this planet to visit Ethiopia, where the coffee has its roots, and meditating a little earlier on about the image that's up here with the roots. Everything that I do, and I've been led to understand about systems, you have to go back to the soil. You have to go back to the roots of whatever it is that you're consuming. Whether it's a fabric that's been made from growing in the soil, or whether it's plant-based items, and even animal-based products, it's all connected to the planet. It's all connected to the earth. So, in building businesses and working with organisations, and there's hundreds of thousands of people that I work with all over the planet, different chefs in 120 different countries, and getting people to understand that a lot of the stuff that they do and the decisions that they make are based on sound judgment that they already have. You don't really want to go destroying the planet in the way you do business. This is most of the people I meet. So if you have 4 out of the 10 ideal, simple, sustainable systems that you can build into your business, which is a lot of the work I do, is creating thematic areas for people to run their businesses with, is to get people to understand it's not just about being beaten over the head with the sustainability rod, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, like, understanding that these are the things that you are doing. If you nuance this towards that, then you'll do one more thing. And if you can connect them to a broader vision that a lot of other companies, organisations are doing, you get to connect to a network of sustainability. You're not alone. You have to understand that there are hundreds of thousands of millions of people out there trying to do good. So I think joining a thread of simple thoughts towards conscious business is a major piece to your first steps. But you see, once you lift the lid on sustainability and resilience, you can't put the lid back on, because you're no longer ignorant about the systems around you. So learn early, learn about the systems that are important to not only you, but also the environment where you are. Ethiopia is different to Somerset. Australia is different to Canada. And so wherever you are and whatever you're doing, find the simplest route to sustainable solutions. And that's the first step that you can take without feeling too, like you say, threatened by the sustainable narrative. But I will just say one thing, I appreciate I don't want to take too much time here, but sustainability is a word I think we need to just move a little bit away from, in as much that it's something that is taking too long to land. Sustainability seems to be something that generationally, 25 years now, I've been talking about sustainability for 25 years, we need to be building more resilient systems around ourselves. Because if we're not a resilient system, then when the shocks and the changes in the environment where coffee crops fail or banana harvests fail or whatever it is that we rely on for both business and sustenance and nutrition, if those systems fail and crash, then we're not resilient. So we need to be more immediate in our thinking around that, the consciousness of consumerism.
That's education though, right? Because that's key, I think, because I think over the last 2 years, you've seen that C price, 3 years, really grow and get very, very high. And then you had the cafes that were really trying to work out, if the roaster puts the price up, how can I put my price up in the cup? And the only real way you can do that, and you have to do it, is you have to do it through education. You have to bring that customer on the journey through the communication, and as we were speaking about yesterday, conversation, and get them to be a stakeholder in the importance of why you have to put that price up, educate them and show them the systems that are in place to keep this core product alive, and all of the people around that core product that stay alive because of them working within that community, and that's why you have to take that price up to there. So I couldn't agree more with Arthur. Education is so important. And events like this and having people come into panel talks like this means that people are actually listening and want to know more. And we've got producers from Ethiopia, Ileana, over there. And, you know, I'm sure they have a big point to add to this. But again, it's, you know, the world is getting more expensive, unfortunately. And we should have a personal, professional obligation to try and manage that in a way that we help people care. So.
My next question is for you, James, and it is on the topic of education. When you started off with the first Rosslyn, what did your hiring and training process look like for your team members, and how has that changed as your business has grown? But also, more importantly, how do you make sure that you're still connecting with the staff that you have when the team expands, and that they're still passionate, I guess, about the role?
Yeah, I mean, like the core focus since we've started has remained the same. It's just developed and improved. Our first induction that we ever did at Rosslyn, we had, because like we didn't know, so again, it was myself and Matt, we didn't know how busy this place was going to be. We were like, could we just open it with the two of us? And it's like, we brought in 2 team members, and our first induction was just at the start of service on day 1. And we basically just spoke about how, like, the reasons why we set up this coffee shop. We wanted to create the kind of coffee shop that we would want to go to. We wanted to create a coffee shop that would contribute to the small corner of London that we opened in. And that's remained the same to this day. It's just grown and developed. So our sort of North Star, our mission, if you want, is to contribute to everybody that we come into contact with. We understand that success is best when shared. When it's paid forward, it gains momentum, becomes self-perpetuating. And we believe in that. And it's core to our success. By contributing to everyone that we come into contact with, you mentioned there about team members. Like the first step in that is our team, making sure that our team have a higher standard of living for working with us. We work very closely with the Living Wage Foundation in London. But I alluded to earlier there the circular success. And I say that starts with our team. So number one, we make sure that we take care of our team. Again, this is like, it sounds very simple and simplistic, and that's because it is. We take care of our team so that our team can take care of our guests. When our team take care of our guests will come back. They'll continue to purchase coffee in our stores. That will contribute to the commercial success of our business. The more commercially successful our business is, the better we can take care of our team. The better we take care of our team, the better they take care of the guests, the more they come back to our stores, the more commercially successful the business is. That's what I mean by paying it forward and that forward momentum becoming self-perpetuating. There was a second part of the question there?
I can't remember the second part, but I've got another question for you. When you're looking to expand the team, what is the first thing, what do you prioritise when you're hiring? And what is it that you look for?
It may sound trite, but like it's kindness. Like, you can, especially with the equipment that we've got today, you can teach somebody how to make coffee pretty quickly. But you can't teach them to have pride in what they do. You can't teach them to be nice. You can't teach them to be, it's that, just being a nice person. That's what we seek when we bring people on. We're a values-based business, and we hire based upon those values. We make all of our decisions based upon those values. That's kind of how we bring our team members on.
And Paul, I think I see La Marzocco as it's local spirit, but on a global scale when you think of it as a brand. How do you pass on those core values of La Marzocco? Well, what are they, I guess, to start with? But how do you pass them on to people that have just joined the team, aside from the onboarding?
I think inclusivity is so important. I remember being at events, 2009, the first Out of the Box. Everyone in that leadership team, management team was available to hang out, talk with whoever was there, whether they were the cleaner to the CEO. It doesn't matter if you have a coffee from one of our machines or you own 1,000 of them. You're all important to us, because without any of you, we wouldn't be there. So it's being able to listen to people. There are rules to what we do. And I think if someone comes and they can do these 4 things, then the 5th thing is there, and it's be present. So be present in the moment, whether it's on the telephone, whether it's standing in front of someone, be present. Second one is listen. Because if you listen and you're present and then you can understand, then you can have empathy with someone, because you don't know how their day started. You don't know if their machine is a problem. You don't know if their business doesn't have people coming in and having coffee. You don't know what that is. So have empathy and understand where they are. And then hopefully you can have impact. And if you have impact, then you make someone's day better, or you make someone's delivery of a coffee better, or in any way that you help, then you build loyalty together. And I think that's what you need is to grow a brand, is to make sure that you always keep that connected with everyone else around you, is that they are bigger than the brand, because they are the ones that hold the brand where it is. So it's very important as you move forward to always look back, because you can challenge and disrupt the future, but you have to respect the past. So that is always a way of managing that when you're moving forward. So if people can understand that from any part of the company and deliver that, that's how we hold the brand in the way it is. I don't know, it's a long answer, but I believe in it.
No, that's great. And I guess that ties into the roots and wings again, doesn't it? And why we're here.
100%. I think someone said once, a Japanese quote, you plant trees that you will never sit in the shade of. And I think that's where that roots and wings came from. But to give, to support businesses' growth, support people on the coffee journey. And I remember, the home part of this business is really there because we have the high street part of the business. So we really try and focus on both. Anyone's coffee journey is important because it's such a beautiful environment to be in. We work in a beautiful industry, but then it's an industry that really has impact on people to their day to day. During COVID, the barista was a frontline worker, because there were people that lived in their apartment on their own, and the only interaction they had was going to someone's coffee shop and getting a coffee. That was super important to people's mental health. So I think coffee is a beautiful industry, so we should all respect it in the way it is.
Nice, thank you. Arthur, what's one thing that you've noticed that you think businesses could change or put more time in to lead on sustainability?
One of the biggest factors, and I've been very lucky, Paul and I have known each other for a while now, and I've been able to build the habit of good coffee into my life because of La Marzocco, right? So not here to advertise them because you're getting banged on the head every minute with it. But the point I want to make here is habit. Having a habit is something that you do more or less every day, and you do lots of different things every day, which are basically habitual. Whether or not it's getting up and having a coffee, having a shower, having a piece of toast for breakfast, getting on your way to work, getting to work, habit. And if you can get habituation to refocus, are you going to be consuming coffee with a conscience? Are you going to be getting to work by train or by bike rather than driving? What are the habits that you can do as a consumer to change the way the planet is going to be impacted on? But it's not just the consumer that needs to drive the sustainability, although they are the powerhouse because that's where everything ends up with the purchasing. It's the leadership that you need to find in big business, which builds habits of how it influences the planet. For example, IKEA, just changing and nuancing the simplest piece of food, which IKEA is the 7th biggest food outlet on the planet. It's massive. I've worked with McDonald's, I've worked with Danone, really big organizations. Changing the habits inside those companies and getting them to habituate how they consume out of the ground is a major factor in how sustainable systems and resilient systems are going to be framed into the future. So businesses must generate positive, planetary, people-focused habits that, why do we buy that? To sell it. Am I buying it with a conscience? Am I buying it with the planet in mind? If I'm just buying it with profit in mind, then actually we're going to start going backwards. And you're saying you've got to look back to move forward. Well, you've actually got to be careful that you don't go backwards in your growth. Otherwise, we're going to have a planet that we haven't got anything to grow on anymore. So habituation, leadership, maturity, and conscience is a massive factor in the way businesses need to grow. And they are doing it. They are definitely doing it because everyone in this room is habituating positively.
James, are there any habits that you've massively changed as Roslyn's grown?
I mean, any habits that have changed since Rosslyn has grown? Like the volumes that we have in place have sort of led to that. Like, our busiest store can do up to like 2,000 coffees in a day. We're doing close to 1.5 million cups a year. So like from opening one singular site to these now multiple sites, there's parts of our flow that have had to sort of adapt and change. When we opened, we had, we had some bottles of milk in the business. We had all the coffee sent through in kilo bags. We've updated that. We now have no bottles going through our business. We work with Flow Smart. All of our milk goes into these 18-litre containers. They're washed, sent back to our supplier, the estate Derry. That saves close to 100,000 plastic 2-litre milk bottles from going to landfill a year. Our coffee, as I said, no longer arrives in 1 kilo bags. They arrive in 7 kilo bags, and those 1 kilo bags would have been thrown away. Those 7 kilo bags are recycled, sent back to our roaster, Origin Coffee Roasters there in Cornwall. So yeah, there's out of necessity of the volume, that's sort of led to those changes and those adaptations.
They're huge changes as well when you think about the numbers that add up over the course of a year or a few years, and how it affects the planet. I think that's nearly our time, but I'm going to ask a question to all of you, and that's, what would your advice be to people that are beginning to grow their business, but not wanting to compromise their values? Paul?
That's the way you should do it. There's no point in opening a business and then as soon as you do it, compromising your values. That's what your business should be. Any business you're going to do is because you value that experience. And again, I think, it's very funny, and it's not funny, I shouldn't really say that, but the pandemic was a terrible thing. But I think society took a pause and it started to think. And I think people now, they analyse what they're purchasing slightly more than they did before the pandemic. Before pandemic, it was just a push. Yeah, buy. During and after the pandemic, things started to slow down a little bit. I know we can see the world changing dramatically now, but it's important that if you're going to do something, do it because you care. That's the first thing. Do it because you care, not because you expect other people to care, because you care. And if you show that you care, people will be invested in that. Don't try and sell anything and help people buy it. That's the key to it all. And help people buy it because you care about what they're doing. And I think that's the easiest way to do it.
It's often like, what's often the right thing to do is often the commercially sound thing to do as well. Like, I say we work with the Living Wage Foundation, when we, so basically there's the minimum wage in the UK, and then the living wage, which is like, what's been calculated to live in cities like London, have a decent standard of living. When we launched our shop, we were one of two specialty coffee shops that were accredited living wage employers within the City of London, which is like a sad representation of our industry. It's grown since then, but not enough. But I think that other coffee shops and other businesses they sort of sometimes turn to us and say that, oh, well, it's okay for you, that you can pay the living wage because you're successful. But they've got it completely the wrong way around. We've been paying it since day one, and the fact is that we're successful because we pay the living wage, right? And it's like, we got an award up in Manchester a couple of years ago, the Living Wage Foundation, and I stood on stage and I was like, the fact that there's an award for paying the living wage, again, is like, this shouldn't be getting a pat on the back for this. This is the bare fundamentals of operating a business. But even if you didn't do it because it's the right thing to do, even if you were just doing it commercially, it makes commercial sense. Take care of your team. Again, going back to that circle of success, take care of your team. They'll take care of your guests. Your guests will take care of the commercial success. The rest of it sort of takes care of itself. Aside from the ethics of doing it, it makes commercial sense as well. It's a win-win. I don't understand how people don't take care of their team. It makes no sense. But if that makes sense. It was a bit of a ramble, but
it makes absolute perfect sense.
It was there.
It was there? Okay.
Just ask me the question again, because I need to get it clear. What was the question?
What advice would you give people that are starting to grow their business?
Yeah, advice, thank you. In starting your business, you have the passion, you have the belief, you have the capacity to not only start your first or second shop, which is always difficult to do, but it's got a lot of passion in it, it's got a lot of energy in it, you spend a lot of money to get there, and it's generally who you are. And the emotion that carries into your business through what it is you want to do is a big factor in your growth and success. In all of that, you've got to make sure that you don't lose the passion and the reason why you started the business in the first place. The second thing also is making sure that with the power that you grow into as you scale, you have responsibilities. And in that responsibility, you not only have to make sure that your team are well structured and well trained and they're passionate about what you believe in, but it generally is founded on a product. So whatever you're selling is generally connected to the planet in some way, unless you're selling microchips. And anyone selling microchips in here? No microchips. We're connected to the environment. So you're going to have a responsibility as you move forward. So the advice is stick to your core values, stay passionate, lead, educate, and don't lose the values that you first started with. Because as you grow and scale, you're actually affecting the back end in the field, the growth. You talk about paying your staff well. You need to make sure that you're paying the people who are picking the coffee beans well and moving the coffee beans from field to processing. And whatever product it is you're buying, you have to have a conscience all the way through, because that actually leads to a better planet. And better people living on that planet. So that would be my advice.
That's great advice. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us for this panel talk. It's been great, and thank you to you all for coming and listening as well.
Thank you.